Ethan, it's World Championship time.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Brian and Ethan Biathlon Podcast. It's time for World Championships in Pogluca, Slovenia. The whole season has been coming down to this moment, and after the first week and a couple of races, we've already seen some pretty good stuff. What do you think, Ethan?
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. I think we've all kind of been waiting for this. Obviously, we had a week break, so it was good to come back and have some biathlon to watch. And the races did not disappoint, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely not. And it always is like during that week break, are people going to lose momentum? Is someone going to come out of the woodworks and just crush everyone? Like, what's going to happen during that week off? And I think everyone prepped pretty well for Pogluca.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all right, let's dive right into it. First shot goes out to us, Ethan. We are the prediction kings so far. So last episode when we talked about who's going to be our wild cards for World Champs, you said Sebastian was going to come through with a medal. I said Marketa Davidova, and look at that. Sebastian was second in the pursuit. Davidova wins the individual this morning. Give ourselves a pat on the back.
I probably wouldn't call ourselves prediction kings just because every prediction we've made before this hasn't gone well, but definitely feels good to get this one right. And those were two pretty awesome races.
You know, we're like the athletes. You know, we have all season to sort of warm up and get into it. But what really matters is what happens at World Champs, and we performed at World Champs. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'll see you in Vegas next week.
Sounds good.
All right, second shot. On a little less happy note, missed shot. The German men, where the heck have they been? They're just so far back. Like, we're talking about people prepping for World Champs and getting it right. I think the German men got it wrong.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that because like these are guys that have won like multiple world championship medals before, like not that long ago, like last year, even the year before, and they're not even in the top 20, top 30, somewhere outside the top 40.
Yeah. The Arne Pfeiffer, 36th in the sprint, moved up to 20th in the pursuit. Like, I would have had him in the top 10. Benny Dole, 39th in the sprint, 31st in the pursuit. So they had all these guys, even Johannes Kuhn, had better days in the pursuit, but they just started so far back. Like they only had 3 men make the pursuit, and they just started so far back. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing, to be honest, because I think Germany, obviously such a huge biathlon nation, so many fans in Germany, and they're just kind of letting the nation down.
Mm-hmm. I think like the women haven't been like super duper spectacular either, but they've still had top 10s, like a few top 5s here and there. But there's definitely a lot of home expectations that are put on the German team. I think they definitely haven't lived up to that at all, and hopefully they can pull it back around for the rest of the world champs, and hopefully they can figure something out and do something good in the relay. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, the German women, you have Hermann and Preuss and Hintz. They've all been doing pretty well. Hermann, 4th place in the sprint. Even the younger athlete, Genia Hetich, like she's been doing pretty well as well. She qualified for the pursuit. So the women are definitely, holding their own, but yeah, the men we expect to see at least some of them up there, but there's just nothing. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the second half. Hopefully they can come together and hopefully they're, in the fight for the relay, because that's what really, that's where the German team really comes together. It seems like they're always in the fight in the relays, but just right now, like, I don't know if they'll be in that fight because they're pretty far back. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, moving on. Tiril Eckhoff. She is the story of World Champs right now. 3 gold medals in the first 3 races. Unfortunately, today in the individual, not as well. But she is on pace to tie and to challenge Røiseland for 5 gold medals and 2 bronze medals from last year's World Championships. She now has 3 races left. She needs, well, I guess she unless she gets a silver and 2 golds, she won't beat Røiseland or tie Røiseland. But if she can gold in all 3 of these races, she'll pass Røiseland for the all-time gold medal. Single mixed relay, women's relay, and mass start. Do you think she's going to prevail and get a gold in all 3 races?
I think she definitely has a really good chance in the relay and the mass start. I'm a little nervous about the single mixed relay just because if she goes with Johannes, then I'm not totally confident in Johannes, especially with how the last single mixed relay went and with how he's been on the range so far this World Champs. But I think she definitely has a really good chance for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a little bit more confident with Johannes just because, I mean, it's Johannes Tingus Bo. Like, you gotta err on the side of he's going to perform. But I mean, even if they went with Ligrid, I feel like Ligrid's not skiing super fast or fast enough for the single mix relay because that's really more of like a short distance power sort of ski, and I think Johannes has the edge over Ligrid on that side. But I mean, they're definitely in contention. I mean, even if you did go with Johannes, it's like Eckhoff's wearing the yellow bib, Johannes is wearing the yellow bib. That's the only the 2 people in the world wearing the yellow bib are now on a team together challenging everyone else. Like, I mean, maybe they're not shoo-ins by any means, but they're definitely going to be in contention for the win. Women's relay, again, I think they're definitely in contention for the win because you look at the overall standings. You have Eckhoff and Røiseland in first and third, and then you have Tandervold in 12th overall, who had a great race, podiumed in the individual today, and then Noten, who is 18th overall. Like, there's your top 4 women right there. They're definitely going to be in the fight. So I feel like there's 2 gold medals right there that are almost hers to lose. Obviously, being relays, it's you have your teammates have to kind of step up and help you out there. But then when it comes down to the mass start, it's like it's totally on you. You just got to perform, and she, to me, she keeps surprising me this year. She is shooting well, standing, which has always been her downfall. And she's earning all these medals that she's winning in the mass starts and in the pursuits and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't give it. I feel like it's not as sure a bet in the mass start, but she's definitely in the conversation and she's up there. And here, let me double check. She might even be wearing the red bib in the mass start. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the French girl. That's or Julia Simone. You're right. But even still, I think she's one in contention. So it's like, I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 100, 1 being absolutely no chance, 100 being guaranteed certainty, how likely is she to tie Røiseland with 5 gold medals by the end of the weekend?
I'd probably give it like a 60. Like, definitely more than half, but not quite super duper confidence.
Yeah, I was going to agree with that 100%. 60 to 65% that she walks away at least tied. And then I would even say closer to like 45% to 40% that she walks away with 3 gold medals and passes Røiseland. Because again, it's not as sure a bet, but like I feel like she's going to have an easier time, in the relays to get those golds. And then it's all down to one race and anything can happen.
If you were the Norwegian coaches putting together the women's relay team, would you have Eckhoff go last or go third? Or even first or second, I suppose?
Ooh, that's a good question. I still feel like Røiseland's a better closer. I think Eckhoff, again, she's still in first place, but like I just feel like her history has shown that she's a little shaky on standing. And like there's been a few relays this year where she has shown that. And actually in the last single mix relay we had when she was with Johannes, they didn't win because she was the one who messed up. She was the one who ended up on the penalty loop. And so there's nothing that says that can't happen again. And it seems like for whatever reason, maybe it's a mental thing where she has the spare rounds. she seems to be going back to her old self in the relays, and she's having more misses in the relays, where in the individual races where it's all on her, that's where she's really like nailing the target. So I would still put Røiseland last in the relay, probably Eckhoff third. I would start with Tandervold and then go with Noten second. Because I think Tandervold's a good starter. She's feisty, she's aggressive, obviously a good athlete, and can give you good position. Noten, newer to the team, but obviously holding her own in the top 20 overall. She'll be a good, kind of get you through that second stage. And then if you can follow up those first two with a 1-2 punch of Røiseland or Eckhoff and then Røiseland, the Norwegian team should be unbeatable. But I really think the weak link here is either going to be, I was going to say Noten just because she's the furthest back, but I feel like her shooting's been consistent. Maybe I feel like, again, I think the weakest link is Eckhoff, even though she is the highest overall, and it's that standing shooting. That's what it's going to come down to, is Eckhoff standing shooting.
Yeah, I think if she goes third, she can pull back whatever deficit she can on the skis super easily. But if she goes way too hard out of the gate and can't hold on and control herself, that standing shooting, it could go amazingly, or it could go horribly wrong. We'll just have to see, I guess.
Jeez. Oh man, I'm getting excited now. Whoa. Emilien Jacqueline in the pursuit race. He tries to send a message in his first standing. Little bit of a lead over the field. Boom. 17 seconds clean standing. And he backs it up with another 17-second clean standing. Just absolutely impressive and dominating performance that he 100% deserved to back up or defend his pursuit title from last year. That was impressive to watch.
Yeah, that was. I saw him, like, he started so fast. I'm like, he does this all the time, and sometimes it really doesn't go well for him. But to see it work out for him, not once in a race, but twice in a race, back to back, to really close the door and seal the win, especially coming off his pursuit win last year at World Champs. I think it was definitely pretty cool to see. Like in training, like when we try to shoot fast, like we're like scraping like 20 seconds just in training. And then for him to do that in a race, go sub 20 seconds in a race twice, that's pretty crazy.
And his shots were like dead center too, because they zoomed in on the target, and his shots some of them were in the prone ring.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, just absolutely incredible. I mean, based off that performance, and he even said in the post-race press conference, they were like, they acknowledged how incredible that was, and he was like, I basically had two options. He was like, I can be super confident and make sure I hit the targets, or I can just be myself. And his goal for today was to just be himself. And he was like, I know my coaches are going to be mad at me for shooting fast, but I'm just going to go for it. And he went for it, and it was big. I don't know. To me, it seems like an unnecessary risk, because if he shot fast and had a miss or two misses even, he's done. There's no way he wins, because he only had about one penalty loop lead over Bo and Samuelsson. So it was a little bit of a gamble and a little unnecessary. Like if he was coming up from 5th place or something and he had literally no time to spare if he wanted to win, that's one thing. But the fact that he did it in first place with the lead, it's like, all right, dude, hope it works out.
And for him to keep that rhythm going the whole time, like not get to like the 4th or 5th shot and think, okay, like I need to hit these two, like I need to slow down. I think had he slowed down at all, he would have definitely missed at least one, maybe two shots. But to keep the rhythm going and smooth was pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I mean, Pogluca definitely has a very favorable range approach, so I'm sure he was probably settled and felt very relaxed and very comfortable, and that's why he decided to do that and just go for it, as opposed to a venue like Ondholtz last weekend, where you're at altitude. I guess you're at altitude at Pokljuka too, but everyone complains about the altitude at Unholtz where you're like dying, gasping for air. You have a hill and then a flat into a range, and so yeah, it's just a little bit different range approach. So
I think that like really sets him up well for if he comes into the range with Samuelsson, Bo, or whoever it might be, maybe last spot for Russia in the relay as a mass start. Like that head-to-head battle, if they all come into the range together, is going to be pretty exciting to watch for sure.
mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I wonder if they'll go with Jacqueline or Fiolmaye as number 4 in the relay, because I mean they're tied right now for 5th in the overall. Fiolmaye obviously has the experience, and Jacqueline did mess up a few times earlier in the year in the relays. But I mean, after that, I wonder if, I'm sure he probably wasn't thinking this, but I wonder if like a little bit of it was, I need to prove myself in standing right now and prove to the team that I should be your anchor leg. And if he can do something like that in the relay, that's definitely going to give France the advantage. Because I mean, you need it. You pretty much need every French athlete to be on, like spot on for the relay. Because Norway right now is 1 through 4 on the overall, absolutely stacked, loaded team. And you have Fiolmaye and Jacqueline, who are tied for 5th, so they can definitely help your team. But you need guys like Fabian Claude to step up. Simon Destuo, he's had a pretty mediocre year. He obviously had a podium in the sprint, but other than that, pretty mediocre. So like you need those two guys to really step up. And I think maybe Jacqueline is he's just trying to get his team motivated, get his team going, and say, hey, you got to put me anchor, because if it's me versus Bo, like I'm gonna lead us to victory.
Yeah, like even if it's him, Samuelsson, and Bo, I think Johannes Inges Bo hasn't quite showed that he can win that race, even let alone get second, because Samuelsson got him in the pursuit.
Yeah, it's so weird to think that like Bo is getting outkicked by Sebastian Samuelsson and Emilien Jacqueline pretty consistently, like all season. It's been those two guys, and there really has not been anyone else, older or younger, who's really challenged him on the last lap like that. And his stats are showing that he's a faster skier than them. He's consistently being better than them. But yeah, for some reason, when it goes head to head against those two guys, which it's happened a lot this year, he just can't close the door. So yeah, it'll be super interesting. And then with Sweden and Ponsiloma winning the sprint, that's going to give them a good advantage. Unfortunately, none of their teammates are really they're not really in there in the top 20 for the overall. But you know what? Like Sweden, I mean, they showed at the most recent Olympics, and then last year's world champs, the champs before, like these guys show up for world champs, and specifically the relay, both the men and the women. These guys show up for the relays. And so,
I mean, I think for Sweden, as long as they can stay out of too much trouble and get it to Ponsiloma and Samuelsson, I think they should be in pretty safe hands, especially with how fast those two guys are skiing right now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Good weekend for America so far. Jake Brown, 12th place in the sprint. That's freaking awesome. And Susan getting a top 20. That's that's pretty good for, considering how the season's been going for the U.S. overall. I'll definitely take that.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I think we kind of talked about it before that maybe the U.S. was kind of really focusing on world champs this year. And like in the past, the Americans have always had that one person that kind of has a great race. Like Susan got second last year, and then obviously back in 2017 when Lowell was top 10 in every single race. Like the Americans to consistently do that every year, I think is pretty impressive. And for it to, in a way, be a different person every single year, I think kind of speaks volumes to the program and the coaches that the U.S. has right now. And I think, especially for Jake, like that's awesome. Yeah. Jake definitely deserves that. Jake works insanely hard, and for Susan to have another top 20 at World Champs. I think that just gives her and the rest of the team momentum going into the relays, and hopefully she is in the mass start.
Yeah, right now she's sitting at 30th, and unless she declines, I think she'll be in because there's no more individual races. But no, Jake as well. I mean, we've been saying this all year as well, and I think anyone who's been following U.S. Biathlon knows that Jake has. He's a really good skier, and obviously he's just new to the sport, so it's it was kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, when is he going to clean? When is he going to start upping his shooting percentage? And I mean, I really felt all season that he was just one really good shooting away from popping in the top 20. And boom, there it is. Shoots clean, day one of World Champs. Skiing time, he had the 26th fastest ski time, and that includes the 11th fastest ski time on the last lap alone. Like, he is skiing there. Like, he is being competitive on the ski course, and that's sort of why we were like, okay, he's showing the potential, but it just is going to come down to the day where he can finally shoot well. And yeah, I mean, he did it, and he deserved the result, and hopefully he can take this as this is where I deserve to be. This is the new me. This is what I'm capable of. And is he going to shoot clean every single time? Obviously not, but yeah, if he can continue to have really fast ski times like that, then he'll keep seeing results like that. And if he can keep doing that, hopefully Sean and Leaf can step up and be like, hey, I can compete with Jake Brown. There's no reason why I can't be in the top 10 or top 20 as well. And yeah, things will hopefully just like that fall into place. Super easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he did have a few issues in the mass start, or I'm sorry, the pursuit, 25th with 5 misses. But that's going to be just experience for him. Started off with 2 misses and then went 1-1-1 the rest of the race. But still, 23rd fastest skiing time. That's what you need to be competitive. That's what you need to be in the fight at least. And yeah, if he can turn that into like a 1, and then maybe one of those other 1s turn him into 0s, boom, he's back in the top 20. So yeah, it's there. It's there. I just hope that, and kind of one thing that you said is like, every year it seems like there's 1, maybe 2 people who step up like crazy at World Champs and have a really good result. I'd like to see if we can get someone to be consistent. And like, yeah, you do want to peak for World Champs, and the USBA has showed that they can prep for World Champs really well. But I'd love to see just like a consistent athlete who, kind of like Emma Lunder from Canada, who's just consistently tapping at that top 10 and top 20. And yeah, because I feel like if you're constantly in like the 30 to 40 range, and then the chances of you having a day where you're like on the podium, it's pretty slim. But if you can constantly be in that 10 to 20 range, chances of you having a podium one day is a lot higher. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And hopefully this is, like I said, hopefully this is good motivation for the team, the whole team. I mean, the women's team, Claire is obviously having a good year. Haven't seen much from her at World Champs yet, but she's having a good year. Joanne is capable of doing well. Susan always performs well at World Champs. And then even Deidre Irwin got her best result after falling. She fell in the sprint and still qualified for the pursuit, which was incredible to see how well she's skiing and how well she's doing. So yeah, I think the entire team as a whole just has a lot to look forward to. Let's just hope that they can like, I feel like there's a spark, to use an analogy. There's like a spark, there's a little flame, and it comes around every World Champs, and then it kind of dies down. And then next year we have to kind of rekindle the fire. I'd love to see if we can maybe keep that flame going just a little bit, keep it going. It doesn't have to be a fire by the start of next season, by the Olympics, but if we can just keep that flame going and keep it stoked, like, I feel like that's what will turn into a big fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think, like you said, like with the Olympics coming up next year, I think this is huge for U.S. biathlon, and like we said, like Canada is doing really well too. For them to have great races in the relays and some good individual performances, I think we just have to wait and see how the rest of the season goes, and then the start of next season, see how the North Americans are stacking up, and then hopefully they are able to get that consistency in results, and then kind of inch their way up closer and closer to the Olympics, and then I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah. And I mean, just to prove how competitive the field is right now, like overall, Claire Egan in the sprint was 54th, just made the pursuit, but she had the 21st fastest ski time. So she had 4 misses, shot 1-3, and had the 21st fastest ski time. Like, that just goes to show you for the US that, okay, 54th after coming off of like a flower ceremony earlier in the year, or, you know, a couple top 10s or whatever she had, kind of disappointing. But her ski time is still there, still competitive, where if she flipped that 3 into a 0, could have been in the flower ceremony at World Champs, maybe even podium, who knows. So it's like, okay, if you really dive deep into the results and really look at the data and analyze the data, the US is still in there. Like, they're still doing super well, still showing good results. But yeah, it's like, it's almost turning into like a little bit of like luck is coming into play a little bit. But no, it's all good. I think there's a lot to look forward to. And hey, there's still 3 more races. We have Jake in the mass start, Susan in the mass start. So hope make sure you wake up for those and watch those. And then you also have the relays and the single mixed. I mean, I have no idea who the US is going to go for the single mixed relay. Who would you do if you're the head coach? Single mixed relay, one guy, one girl. Who's gonna be our best bet?
I think right now you have to go with Susan and Jake.
I agree.
Like in the past, it's been Susan and Sean or Claire and Sean, but I think you have to go off recent form right now. Like Sean didn't make the pursuit, which is unfortunate, but I think you have to go with Jake and Susan. I think it's a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Also, I mean, Susan is such a good relay starter specifically. Like, in the relays, she's always tagging off in like first or second, which is incredible. So if you can pair that with Jake skiing super fast right now, and I mean, he had like a top 20 ski time in the sprint. I forget what I just said or what I just saw, but if he had a top 20 ski time in the sprint, and then you eliminate all those like number 2 guys, 3 guys on each team, because each team can only have one guy, all of a sudden he could have he could be the 6th fastest or 5th fastest skier on the start line, or on the line, in the race. I'm sorry. And yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, Lowell and Susan already have a medal from World Champs in the single mixed relay. So Susan knows how it's done. Jake, obviously the new guy, but I don't know. It could be, now that I'm thinking about it, this could be a really exciting single mixed relay. And now I'm starting to get a little fired up for it, because I feel like the US should be and is in potential, or is in contention for a relay. So for a relay medal.
And I think in the individual as well, like Leaf has done well in just about every individual I can think of. Like top 20s. I think he even had a top 10 in one of them. I think if he can shoot well, which like we know he's capable of doing, then I think he should be able to have a good result. And if Jake can keep shooting the way he is too, and skiing as fast as he is, I think it could be a good day for the US men too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just pulling up to see how Leaf shot. So he had 1 miss in the sprint, 46th place, and ski time 70th. So yeah, unfortunately, Leaf not skiing as fast, and I think we've seen that throughout the entire season. But like you said, individual with minute penalties, and he's been doing very well in all the individuals this year. So yeah, I mean, don't count him out either. Like, we haven't talked about him yet today, but his best event is coming up tomorrow. So he'll be the first one. He'll kick us off for this weekend. That could be magical for the US. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, last little bit, spare round, mass start predictions. I know we talked a little bit about it in the women's, but mass start predictions. Let's go with the women first. Who do you have winning the mass start?
I think Tiril Eckhoff is going to win the women's mass start. What about you?
I'm going Lisa Teresa Hauser. I've been really liking Hauser the last couple of weeks. I mean, I've always kind of been rooting for her, but she's on a podium tear right now, and unfortunately didn't podium today. in the individual, which I actually thought she was going to have a really good advantage in today's race because she's been shooting so well. But you know what? She came in fourth, so that's close enough. No, she is riding such a high right now, and she's shooting well. She's skiing super well. Like, I got my money on Hauser.
Yeah.
But no, I like you. I do want to see Eckhoff see if she can claim the gold. But I got my money on Hauser.
Yeah.
All right, and then men's side, who do you have winning the mass start?
I'll let you go first in this one. So I feel like
Okay.
I go and then I take your snack.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh man, this is a good one. I kind of want to go with like a rando. I just want to be like Loganov, but I'm gonna go with. This is so hard because I feel like I'm just going down the overall right now, and every single name that I see, I'm like, yeah, he could win.
Yeah.
He could win. He could win. I'm gonna go with Tarjei just because I really like Tarjei. He was my first like favorite back in the days of when he was winning the overall, and I don't know, I just like Tarjei, so I'm gonna go Tarjei.
That's a good pick. Part of me wants to say Jakob Fack just because it's like home world champs. Like,
yeah,
sure, this has been his focus for at least the past year, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Samuelsson. I think the way to shoot clean the pursuit, outski Johannes Hingesbo in the last leg, come within sight of Jacqueline on the last loop. I think he has a lot going for him, and obviously, hopefully, he has a good relay and a good individual to keep the momentum going. So I think Samuelsson is my bet.
I know the spare rounds are supposed to be quick, but you just brought up a good point. There's basically 2 individual races left for Fack. There's individual tomorrow, and then the mass start at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And this is, like you said, this is his champs. This is his home champs. I like his chances in both races. I mean, he's shown in the individuals that he can do well. And then let's say he doesn't, have a medal or a good race in the individual. Do you think he's going to be a little bit of a desperation to try to get a medal in the mass start? Like, do you think he'll just go crazy and try to just from the gun control the race and start shooting really fast and maybe just kind of risk it a little bit in order to get a medal?
I think if he doesn't have a great individual, I think he will kind of go for it because I think he's been racing for a long time. He's relatively old compared to the rest of the field. I think he knows himself really well, and I think he knows the sport really well, and obviously, hopefully, knows the venue well enough to know the spots to pick and choose where he can make gains on the rest of the field. I think if he has to, I think he's going to go for it, and I like to think that it will go well for him. But I don't know. He hasn't shown anything yet.
One thing that Jacqueline said after the pursuit win was the level is so high right now that you have to risk it. Like, it's coming to a point where the winner basically has to risk everything in order to win and almost like kind of gamble that it's going to pay off. Like, if you play a safe game and do a safe race, you'll have a good result, but you're not going to win. And it's getting to the point where you kind of have to risk it. And I wonder if Fack doesn't medal or have a good race in the individual, I could see him just kind of throwing it all out there and risking it all and gambling for that win.
Yeah. Like, there's no Martin Fourcade playing it safe in the last shooting or the last 2 laps anymore. Like, everyone's going for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Oh man, I can't wait till next week when we reconvene to see what happens.
I know.
But awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe to make sure you get the notification when we come out with next week's episode, and we'll recap what happens next week. But thank you to everyone who has already liked and subscribed and left comments and chimed in and kept the conversation going, because that's what it's all about. Is just let's keep the conversation going about biathlon.
Yeah.
All right, Ethan. Have a good weekend. See you next week.
Awesome. You too.